The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Bronxnet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Next on the Bronx Journal, singer-songwriter Sienna Jade, the heavy metal band Waiting on Exile, the principal director of Bold NY, and Christopher Bean from Part of the Solution.
You're watching the Bronx Journal, the Bronxnet television edition of the multilingual community newspaper, published by the students and faculty of the Journalism, Communication, and Theater Department at Lehman College. In print and on television, the Bronx Journal covers the issues concerning the people of the Bronx. Do you want to know what's going on in the Bronx? Are you interested in Bronx politics, sports, and entertainment? Are you interested in Bronx personalities? Do you want to keep up with the latest business or cultural trends? In the Bronx Journal, we have the answers.
Welcome to the Bronx Journal. I am your host, Janelle Marie. Would you sit on a dream or would you get up and catch it? Our guest, Sienna Jade, is a singer, songwriter, and recording artist who has appeared at Amateur Night at the Apollo. Because of her amazing vocal ability, her recordings have over 100,000 views on YouTube. Sienna Jade, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Great, great, great. So, who is Sienna Jade?
Sienna Jade is just a regular 21-year-old girl from Virginia.
Nice.
Got her at my state. Who's just, you know, goofy and all about just being vulnerable and honest and real and just really talk about my experiences and what's going on in my life.
Nice, nice. So what school did you go to that helped you up to this point?
Well, I went to 2 art schools. I went to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy for Musical Theater in New York City for a little while, and I went to Duke Ellington School of the Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. and studied theater there.
Okay, so how was your musical experience with Kerry Gordy during your songwriting process?
Working with Kerry Gordy was just a blessing. I was super duper excited and happy, and I was actually chosen by him to mentor. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot about him, and this is somebody who, you know, grew up with Michael Jackson, so I was able to get a lot of insight on just how crazy the industry is, and he gave me a lot of encouragement through a lot of hard times.
Nice, nice. Okay, so what was your songwriting process about? Like, are the songs stemming from your real life relationship situations?
Most of the time, the majority of the time, I write them about my own experiences and what's happening with me and my relationships with guys usually. But sometimes I'll write from somebody else's perspective, from what I've observed, as if I'm like a character. So that's pretty
character.
much.
Nice.
Yeah, character,
nice.
you know, acting training.
Okay. So what did you hope to gain from your EP, and why will it be free?
Okay, so I'm putting out an EP entitled Too Much in the spring. Basically, I want it to be free because I don't want there to be any reason as to why somebody can't purchase the EP. I had put out an album entitled Locker Status on iTunes and when I was in high school, and this time I want it to be free. I don't want any excuses. I just want people to download it and listen to it. And it's a lot of different types of sounds, from 90s R&B to some dubstep and contemporary pop. So I just really want to build my fan base, especially here in New York City.
So what is your music style?
Definitely, I'm an R&B 90s chick. Like, I grew up on SWV, TLC, and Vogue. You know, the 90s is where it's at. So I don't want to say I'm trying to bring back 90s R&B, but I'm influenced by 90s R&B, and it's effortless. You know, you just hear it in the music. It's not even on purpose.
Okay, so I actually heard your track, Maybe It's Just Me. So I want to know, give me a little something about that. What is that about?
Maybe it's just me. I wrote it about experience, a relationship that I have with somebody, not a boyfriend, but somebody that, you know, I care about. Basically, the song is, I don't want to say it's sad, but it's kind of like a desperation in the sense of needing reassurance about whether somebody feels the same way about you or not, because you don't want to lose them.
Nice. So how has music helped you overcome obstacles?
It's definitely been an escape for me. When a lot of my friends were getting into other things and going down different paths, it's what's kept me focused and driven, and it's what honestly feeds my spirit. But at the same time, it's also a curse, and it's also brought about like bullying and rejection and, you know, self-doubt and all this other stuff, but, you know.
Nice. So recognizing that branding is a great way to market an artist, what brand or company or any non-organization you think you'll fit in to, or you would like to?
Definitely MAC. Always wanted to have an endorsement with MAC Cosmetics. I'm a MAC girl. I love their lipsticks. I love all their cosmetics. So hopefully that, and definitely, like, this is going to sound stupid, but chapstick. Like, I love chapstick. So any chapstick company, I would love to, like, be endorsed by them.
Nice, nice. So you moved from VA to here, to New York. So what has been the defining moment since you've been here in New York that maybe defines your music?
I don't know if there's like a defining moment yet, because to be quite honest with you, it still hasn't sunk in yet. You know, I'm still like, dang, I'm in New York City. I used to dream about living in New York City. But it definitely became more of a reality check when I dropped out of school.
Okay.
So I went from being in conservatory and dancing and singing and acting all day, every day, all the time, to having to work and pay rent. And, you know, Manhattan, it's a lot of money to live in a closet here. So, you know, that's definitely been kind of the eye-opener. Like, wow, this is a struggle.
So what artists do you consider that you're compared to?
You know, JoJo.
I see a little Mariah Carey going on. So, I mean, because the hair and
you know,
everything.
Mariah Carey, definitely big influence. I don't have the voice of Mariah Carey. Don't compare me to her that way, but definitely Mariah Carey. I get JoJo a lot, I think, because we're like the same age and we're both R&B, have soulful voices, white girls, you know, whatever. And I've heard Coco from SWV. So
nice. So what was a great YouTube cover that defines you?
I would say Melanie Fiona. She had like a video contest for one of her songs, Gone, I think it was. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Anyways, I did a cover for that, and she actually gave me a little shout out on her Facebook, so I got a lot of views. Thank you, Melanie.
Nice.
So
nice.
that was kind of like my YouTube moment.
Okay. So how do you use that to promote yourself? How do you use YouTube to promote yourself?
YouTube to me is just all about, I love YouTube. It's my favorite site. It's my favorite site. And I have like the best fans on YouTube. I would say just, you know, covers. It's an easy way for people to just get to know me. That's where I plan on putting my videos. That's where I plan on putting any video footage that I have from now on, any music from now on. It's going to be on YouTube. So that's my channel.
Nice. So I know.
Gotta love YouTube.
What do you consider great music? Popular music, urban, like what do you?
That's a hard question. I mean, I think great music really is about whether the music is honest and is the voice for somebody. You know, there's party music, but that's, you know, people feel that, you know, so who am I to say that's not great music? You know, great music is just, it's relatability, you know, it's relatable to people.
I heard your song Too Much. Can you give me a little bit about what's that song about?
Too Much is basically
Love
like,
that song, by the way.
it's like a bugaboo, Destiny's Child bugaboo. It's just about a guy that is just doing too much. I don't know any other words to use for the song. You're just doing too much. You keep calling me. You want me to do this for you, be there for you, and I can't do that. I got to do me sometimes. You know what I mean? So basically just tell him to calm down, settle down now, chill.
Okay. So what is a regular day for Sienna Jade? Like, do you get up in the morning? What do you do? Fill me in, please.
A regular day. Well, to be quite honest, a lot of my days I'm asleep because I work at night. I'm a cocktail waitress here in the city. And then I come home, and usually I'm real amped up, and I do a lot of writing, a lot of creating, listening to beats, writing song lyrics. That's like one of my fave things to do. So
I hear you're going to perform for us today, right?
Yeah.
Great, great. So what is the song that you're going to perform for us?
I'm going to perform Maybe It's Just Me.
Maybe It's Just Me.
That's the song I'm planning to put out as a single.
Okay. That's going to be your EP single, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great, great. So I'm excited. Please stay tuned. We will be back with more Sienna Jade and her performance.
Every year, mothers lose their babies to gun crimes. You'll always be your mother's baby. So before you commit a gun crime, think about who you'll leave behind. Gun crimes hit home.
Maybe it's just me, thinking about you all the time. I don't wanna be in love alone. I don't wanna waste more time losing. I don't wanna lose you. Losing, I always wanna keep you. But look at what a beautiful mess it's turned into. I need some reassurance that you won't hurt me. You love me too. Well, maybe it's just me. Say it ain't just me in love. You want, you need me. Or maybe it's just me. Just me in love. Maybe it's just me. But you're the last thing on my mind at night. You're all I can dream about, baby. Can you ease my mind? Choose me, finally you choose me. Choose me, somehow prove it to me. Think about the things you miss, make it up to me. I need to know at this moment I won't give my all for nothing. Or maybe it's just me. Say it ain't just me in love, but you want me and you need me. It's just me. Just me. I wish I didn't love you anymore. Now it's even stronger than before. Maybe it's just me. Baby, it's just me. But I've got to know for sure.
Ooh, that was great. That was
Thank
great.
you.
I was crying over here. Oh my God, you have such a great voice. So where can I hear your music? Where can anyone hear your music?
My album Locker Status is still available on Amazon.com.
Okay.
And then the EP that will be released in spring, you can find out about that. Follow me on Twitter at Sienna Jade. My YouTube channel is YouTube/Sienna Jade Rose. Sienna Jade R, excuse me. And my website is Sienna Jade Rose. So those are all the music updates.
Great. So I want to thank you for coming and
Thank
spending this
you.
time with me. And we will be back with more of the Bronx Journal.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital. I feel like a fish with no water.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor. Because even one attack is one too many.
What the heck is this thing?
Back fat. Someone must have lost it eating a smaller sized popcorn.
Give me that.
Welcome back to the Bronx Journal. I'm Pamela Barahona. Today, we're not going to deal with salsa, hip-hop, or the music genres that stereotypically define the Bronx. We're going to introduce you to a genre that's often criticized and in many cases misunderstood. Marco Gonzalez and Jansel O'Sheaf, members of death metal band Waiting on Exile, join us today to talk about their music influences and their EP album scenarios. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, Marco, you're from the Bronx?
Correct.
And Jax, you're from Yonkers?
Yes.
How did you guys meet?
We, well, me and Marco actually met through mutual friends, and then when we needed a drummer through some changes in the band, he tried out, and he turned out to be a great fit.
And that's how the band was
It's pretty much the same for me. We needed guitars at the time. Our other guitarist hit up this guy named Hector, who we turned out to be great friends, and that ended up just working out. We collaborate so well, and it's been great. It's been a great experience ever since then.
And that's how the band was formed?
Yeah, the band originally was formed with me and Hector and a few other members, but through some changes with differences and old members, you know, we did a lot of member swapping and new members tried out, and that's how we got Marco.
Good. And why did you guys choose the name Waiting on Exile?
Well,
funny story.
We actually, on our way to the city to pick up tickets for a show that we had to promote, we needed a name at the time because we had just formed the band and we didn't have an actual name. And through some process of elimination and putting some words together, we kind of came up with the name, just kind of on the spot on the train. And yeah, that's how that worked out.
That's funny. And how many members are in the band?
Currently, 4.
4. Okay. Why death metal?
Why death metal?
That's a good question. Death metal is just a sound that's very familiar to us. It's very comfortable. It almost comes natural to us. Just the physical presence of being in a death metal show and the excitement that comes with it, just something that's very appealing to both of us. And we just love it ever since. Just why not?
We all pretty much have like a general, you know, gravitation towards metal, but we all like different genres. But metal was something that we were able to all work together and really make, you know, songs work out and stick with us.
So you guys actually incorporate other genres to your music,
yeah.
Or?
Absolutely. We're not limited to metal at all. Very open to many genres. Our song becomes a lot of, let's say, that's the progressive side of death metal that we play. So it incorporates a lot of genres such as jazz, folk, flamenco here and there, sticking to our Latino roots almost.
We like to have like different forms and different sounds that music can provide. So we like to incorporate lots of Latin style, and which can give us an Arabian sense sometimes for cleaner parts in our music, where we like to mellow out and really just have fun with things we do.
Is it hard to find because you guys are Latinos, and most of the kids that like death metal, you know, are mostly white. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, I think that's a misconception as well. I think really it's an underground genre that's just becoming more open and more noticed and recognized. But I think in terms of who likes it, it varies from race to race, you know.
And what other misconceptions are out there regarding?
Other misconceptions? A major one is that it's just noise. Not a lot of people really take the time to realize how much theory and different styles that we incorporate into each song we make. There's a lot of time and effort put in, and it's very complex, and we try and get a lot of fluidity and stuff out of it.
Okay, good. Did you guys always wanted to be musicians?
See, ever since I was young, I've always dreamed of traveling the world, playing music, touring with my favorite bands out there. And the more I practiced with these guys, the more I began to notice how easily graspable this dream of mine can be. So yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. We invest a lot of time in it, and we plan on taking this to the next level very soon.
I mean, being a rock star, I think a lot of people have that dream. You know, when they grow up, it's one of those things that it crosses your mind through media. You see people on stage, and it's something that is really captivating. And growing up, I wanted to be different things, like a zoologist and, you know, more practical occupations. But picking up a bass or picking up an instrument of any kind, I realized it's something that I'm passionate about and that I'm, you know, somewhat talented in. So it's something I want to pursue.
So how is death metal different from punk or just rock?
It really goes into the difference really starts showing in terms of tempo, in the sound, the different riffs and stuff that are all these things that are incorporated in making a song kind of deal.
Where do you guys perform usually?
We have plenty of shows ranging from the boroughs, Queens, the Bronx, here and there. Mostly our hometown, Yonkers, which consider our hometown since that's the main area we find ourselves practicing. We have all our friends there. We have our own little practice area that we come to and have people over, show them what we got.
We have a studio of our own in Yonkers that we rent out, and we get to really practice and just spend as much time as we need in there to make all the music we need.
For the writing, for example, for your EP scenarios, what inspires you? For the song Mona Lisa, BC, what is it, pain, love?
Lyric-wise, it's really whatever, as the group as a whole in the band, what really inspires us at the moment. So it can really vary from things such as philosophy, love, space, which is a big with us. You know, we like different things. You know, more
huge space enthusiasts.
Yeah, more of the work that we're gonna have in the future is gonna incorporate more things like space and science that we are really into at the moment.
Do you guys have any song in Spanish, or is just English?
For the most part, it's English lyrics. We try to be very poetic about it and not just blatantly spit out words. We try to make it very easy to relate to. But no, Spanish-wise, we do not have any lyrics in Spanish.
But don't count it out. We might. It's something we can consider.
Is your family supportive?
Yeah, it's very. My family's very supportive. Since day one, they've kind of always known I wanted to do it, that I took it serious. And since I've been like, I need money to buy equipment or something, they're always there to help me out. And even till this day, they always want to come to shows of ours.
Same here. Playing drums runs in the family. My older brother is very supportive. Even my little brother picked it up. And it's great. Every time I have a show, my mom always asks me, can I come to it? I'm like, yeah, of course, come. It'll be fun.
How often do you rehearse?
Not as often as we'd like. I'll tell you that. Not as often as we'd like. But we try and get schedules that can work around everyone's schedule, so we can all meet up as a group and really get full band rehearsals. But sometimes we have a guitarist or drummer, bassist or drummer, guitarist, bassist, vocalist here and there. Sometimes we have more private practices. But yeah, we try and get as much time as possible.
Which famous musicians you admire?
Tons. For instance, a band called Between the Bear and Me, huge influence on us. Another one called The Contortionists. Every time we come to the city, we're pretty good friends with a few of them, so we say, hey, how's it going? Like the bassists especially, very down-to-earth people. You'd be surprised. It's just a great feeling, admiring these bands. And then when they come to the city, and then you're just right there within talking distance, and you just find out how many things you have in common. It's just a great feeling.
So if you had the opportunity to go on tour with any band, which band would it be?
I think some of the bands he just mentioned, like the ones that inspire us, Between the Bear and Me, those are some. But we like to imagine ourselves touring with bands that incorporate the same styles that we do. So some bands like Veil of Maya, Wretched, those are like a few that we really like.
Okay, I'm sorry guys, because I'm running out of time. What advice would you give to someone that's trying to make it in this industry?
Lots of patience.
I mean, I wish I knew myself, to be honest. I think we can all use advice in terms of making it in any kind of industry, whatever it may be. But I think you should just find something you're passionate about, whether it be music, art, or anything, and then just try and invest as much as you can into it, because the reward in itself is just doing something you love.
Okay, guys, thank you for being here. How can you guys be reached?
Well, we can be reached through Facebook, which is a great way of connecting with us, facebook.com/waitingonexile.
Also, you can reach us at youtube.com/waitingonexileband.com. Yep.
Okay, it was great having you guys.
Thanks for having us.
We'll be back with more of the Bronx Journal, but first enjoy this video clip called "Man Behind the Curtain" by Waiting on Exile.
哦，先生你好，歡迎光臨，等等先。誒，唔該晒。
Brandon.
My name's Brandon. 9 years old, being alcoholic.
Hi, Brandon.
I'll start drinking with the older kids. And whatever they do, I'll do.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
I know it'll start with alcohol. I'm just not sure how it's gonna end.
Hi, I'm Aisha Thorpe. Welcome back to the Bronx Journal. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources, 1 out of every 5 households in the United States has a child with a learning disability. Today we're going to learn about the struggles faced by these families from Richard Scotti, the Principal Director of BOLD, the Bronx Organization for the Learning Disabled. Mr. Scotti, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, what exactly is BOLD and what is its mission?
BOLD is a preschool for students with developmental delays, ages 3 to 5. Those students are identified by the local school districts of the Department of Education in the Bronx, and they are given an IEP, and they're referred to us for an evaluation, and then we decide whether or not we will accept them or not.
Okay, so about how many students come in and enroll in the program every year?
Right now, BOLD has 5 classes. We have about 56 students. We do have the ability, though, to expand 2 more classes, which we hope to expand to 7 classes by September. We're waiting for approval. The process goes through, you need approval from the city and then the state. But our classes are up and ready to go.
And how can parents who have kids who have special needs go about enrolling their kids in the program?
Parents have to contact their local CPSEs, which is the Committee on Preschool Special Education, and it's their local school district in the Bronx. They contact the child, is sent in for an evaluation, and then the child is classified in either an 812 class, a 1012 class, or a 1212 class. And then they are sent out, the packets are sent out to us, the referral packets, and we'll call families and parents in for an interview.
And what are the different special needs that the students have?
Most of the students have delays in 1 or more areas, speech and language, sensory integration, fine and gross motor skills, cognitive delays, and social emotional delays also.
And what are the ages, like the specific demographics?
Age group is 3 to 5. The children at 5, we call it turning 5, which at that point we go back to the local school district, and there's a review, And hopefully our goal is to get the child to be into a mainstream kindergarten.
And I know that special needs can affect the academic lives of people, but how can they also affect the personal?
For the child and parent, it's like anything else. If school is not a good experience, if a child, no matter what age, has difficulty in the classroom, they're not going to enjoy the experience. It's going to affect them. It's going to affect them personally. It's going to affect them socially with their self-esteem, their ability to get along with peers. So it all ties together, the social, emotional, and the academics.
And after age 5, with their learning disabilities, do you think you would help them improve?
The goal is, yes, to remediate the delays and to get them into a mainstream kindergarten or the least restrictive environment. The goal of special education is that every child is in the least restrictive environment. Special ed is not meant to be a lifelong sentence. For each child it's different, but the goal is always to get the child mainstream back.
And what are the key differences of teaching a child with special needs versus a teenager?
A preschool versus teenager?
Yeah. Are there any differences?
Well, there'll be a big difference if that teenager has not had services at an early age. And it's like anything else. You try and remediate difficulties at a younger age, because if you do not, as that prolongs in the child's school career, now you have a teenager, 15, 16 years of age, and emotionally and academically they may be 5, 6 grades below that. So that's the goal of the special ed preschool, is to remediate the difficulties at a real early age when it's easier to do. It's like anything else, you know, you get into a habit, and if it's not remediated, the older you get, the more difficult it is to change that. So if you have a teenager at that point who has not had any services, it's very, very, very difficult.
And about how long do you think it takes for you to see improvements in a child's behavior or in their academics?
For a child that we have from the ages of 3 to 5, we do quarterly updates, annual reviews, and again, depending on the child, the change is in small increments sometimes, and that's what you have to look at. Each child is different. The learning curve for each child is different, so you can't just make a general expectation for all kids. Some kids will move very quickly. Other kids will move very slowly, but as long as it's progress, and that's part of the part that we try and talk to parents about, that not to put too much pressure on themselves, put too much pressure on the child, you know, as far as where they should be at that point. Each child is where they are at that point, and we deal with it.
And what's the success rate at Bold?
I have been at Bold since September, so I'm brand new.
Okay.
I'm a brand new administrator.
What are the warning signs that a child might have a learning disability?
You know, usually a lot of it is behavioral, okay, and it'll manifest itself in that if a child has difficulty reading, he'll act out. You know, sensory integration, fine and gross motor skills, all that are areas that a parent should be looking at, and then the child would have to be evaluated.
And how do you help the parents deal with their kids with special disabilities, and how do they aid you?
Parents, for me, my philosophy, and I've been in this field for 12 years as a school psychologist, assistant principal, and principal. Parent involvement is critical. It's not only my philosophy and in Bold's philosophy. To have an interactive arrangement with parents is so important, because the parents know their child better than anyone. And I always stress that to the parents, that we cannot do our job without their help. Plus, we have parent workshops, we have parent training sessions where they'll come in, and what we'll try and do is teach the parents to carry over what is being done in the classroom. And it also helps to minimize the parents' frustration level.
Mm-hmm. And what actually causes kids to develop special needs?
There are many factors. Could be neurological. There could be many different areas. So.
What are the misconceptions about kids who have a learning disability?
Oh, is that they're different. I mean, that's what we try and do, is dispel the myths about special education. I come from an era where there was no special education, and kids did not receive services. And you saw, as they got older, they had difficulties functioning, whether in school, whether socially. So, there's a big misconception that, these children are different. They just have to learn differently, or they need smaller numbers to learn. Sometimes every child can't be thrown in a class with 30 kids.
Mm-hmm. And have you ever seen a child at Bold that had low self-esteem because of their disability? And if so, what did you do to help them gain their confidence back?
At that age, my experience prior to Bold was with school-age children, but basically it's the same philosophy. If a child has a good experience, their first experience is a good experience, it will carry over into their school age, because so we try and make it where every child coming in there has a good experience. School is fun, because if school's not fun at an early age, it's not gonna carry over. So we make that experience for those kids. It's their first time away from home. It's their first time out of their house. The teachers and everyone at Bold are sometimes the first people that they've ever dealt with outside their family. So it's real important that they have a good, happy experience in addition to learning.
Yeah. And what does Bold look for when they're looking to hire a new employee? Like, what exactly is the special trait that a potential employee needs to have in order to work at the unique company like Bold?
In addition to the obvious certifications that teachers need, which we won't go into, my first thing, I always ask people, do you like kids? I mean, because if you don't like being around kids, working in a school is going to be a very, very difficult environment for you. So that's first and foremost. 2, you need patience. And 3, you have to have a sense of wanting to give back, that you do feel this is an important mission, that we are giving back to a younger generation that eventually is going to go on, and hopefully they'll give back.
And what can schools in the Bronx and in the U.S. in general do to better the learning environments of kids with learning disabilities? What mistakes do you see constantly being made?
Well, one, funding is a big issue. If you just want to talk about the economics of it, there needs to be there needs to be more funding, and there needs to be a greater emphasis on this all around. There really does. I think there needs to be more information for parents. I think parents need access to different agencies. A lot of times the parents are very frustrated when they come to us because they're given the runaround at all different levels. So I think there needs to be a greater awareness that this is a real important mission. These children are our future any way you look at it. I mean, and they're the next generation.
Okay. And how can residents of the Bronx contribute if they want to help the program?
Sure. Please, you can call us. Could I give our number? Okay.
Yeah.
718-430-0981, and my number is extension 104. We're at 2885 St. Teresa Avenue in the Bronx. Feel free to stop in
and your website
and see.
Your website?
And we don't have a website yet as of that. It will be up, though. We will have one. Okay?
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. I really appreciated you coming and teaching us about Bold. Okay. Thanks for being here.
And thank you for inviting me, giving me this opportunity.
No problem. We'll be right back with more of the Bronx Journal TV.
I think it breaks a little to the left. To the right.
Nope, straight.
I told you it was going right.
Get up, get up, get up, and be a player. Get up, get up, get up. Get up, get up, get up, and be a player. Get up, get up, get up. Get up, get up, get up, and be a player.
Get up and play an hour a day.
For fun playtime ideas, go online. Just don't stay long.
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool. Really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this, so why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost.
Hello and welcome back to the Bronx Journal. I'm Megan Scan. With the number of hungry people growing daily, there are men, women, and children in the Bronx relying on food pantries for their next meal. But there is a local food pantry known as Part of the Solution, or POTS, that has been serving the Bedford Park and Fordham sections of the Bronx for over 30 years. The executive director of POTS, Christopher Bean, is here to shed some light on what POTS is doing to help those in need and how you can get involved. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So tell us a little bit about POTS.
Sure. I mean, as you mentioned, POTS primarily is an emergency food provider, founded over 30 years ago. But really, the way I look at it, it's hard to describe because of the number of services we do. And the best way to describe it is really a one-stop shop for someone who's in poverty. So let's say, as you mentioned, a lot of people, unfortunately, in the Bronx are looking for the next meal sometimes. Throughout the course of the year, there's 400,000 people who are food insecure, meaning they're not sure where their next meal is coming at some point during the year. But if you're coming to POTS and you're coming to the community dining room or the soup kitchen, or you're coming to get a meal at the food pantry, you probably have some other issue.
Right.
And so what we do at POTS is we try to look at not just that meal, what else can we do to try to support you through that process? And so that's why at POTS, as you mentioned, we have a community dining room, soup kitchen, we have the food pantry, but we also have a number of attorneys on staff. So for instance, maybe you're coming to POTS because you've been kicked down the streets and you're trying to make sure that you maintain that apartment. So we have attorneys to try to help you maintain that. We have social workers to try to make sure we can guide you through that process where you're coming to crisis, and hopefully we can bring you to a point of stability. Right. We also have things for street homeless individuals, like a shower program, a mail program, so you can get your mail received at POTS, because that's something a lot of people take for granted, a mailing address. But if you're living on the street and someone needs to send you mail, anything like that, where do you get it? We also have clothing program, we also have laundry program, and we also have a barber who comes a number of times a week. So we really look at it where if you're coming here for a warm meal, you probably need all those other support services as well.
Right. You don't think about that, mail.
No, exactly.
Now, how did you get involved with POTS?
I got involved a number of years ago through a friend that had worked at POTS. And really, I was in a completely different field, and what it was I wanted to find something in my own life where I was able to feel like what I was doing mattered. What I was doing was somehow contributing to a world that I wanted to see, and I felt that my prior career wasn't really doing it. I worked in the finance world, and it was not satisfying, and this is a totally different swing of things, and I've been involved in POTS since 2007, and I have not looked back.
Now, POTS has been around for over 30 years. What's an average day like, would you say?
An average day is there's no average day. It's always chaos, but that's good. An average day, I think, at POTS is you'll open the doors in the morning and you'll see probably 100 families lining up to come for the food pantry. And then you may also see about 40 families going downstairs who are looking for clothing. And at the same time, while that's all going on, there may be 20 individuals who are getting a hot shower for the first time and getting a clean pair of socks. And then at 12 o'clock when lunch comes around, you're going to have 400 to 700 people lining up to have a hot meal for lunch, all operating at the same time. Then in the afternoon, you maybe see someone who is online for lunch come up and want to speak to a lawyer that we have on staff, or maybe come to see the social worker, or maybe then in the afternoon they'll be able to get a haircut. So there's a lot of moving pieces, but I think really that's what we need in order to really support the individuals who are struggling.
Now, you have, you said you have a lot of families come in, so children, men and women can come in?
There's no questions asked at POTS. I mean, we do sort of the basic demographic thing, but that's only to find ways that we can help someone more to see if there's certain trends or things like that. But really, everyone is welcome. We know that everyone coming in is coming from a different background, a different story. You know, there's no one way that someone ended up in a really position of crisis, and we want to make this as dignified an environment as possible. So no questions asked. We end up seeing about 16,000 people a year, which is pretty remarkable. But out of that number, unfortunately, about 4,000 to 5,000 are children.
Wow. Now, you said that a lot of it's about keeping dignity and people like that and things like that. So would you say that if families come in from anywhere, just so they can be treated with dignity, not just families from the Bronx, all around New York City?
Primarily, it's for families from the Bronx, but I mean, we do not sort of have those restrictions. If you're coming in here, you can be from Staten Island. We were impacted a little bit by Sandy. Obviously, the Bronx not as much as other boroughs, but you could, as far as I'm concerned, if you were in from Alaska and something happened to you, we'll do our best to help you as much as we can. Now, by the same token, there's certain things we can't help with. I mean, we don't do everything in the world, and we try our best, but we'll see anybody that needs help, and we'll try our best to help them. Right.
So now you mentioned Hurricane Sandy. Do you find that, you know, with each year more people are coming, or is it a steady trend of people?
It's absolutely, every year it's more and more people. I think we looked recently back at our historical figures, and we saw in 2007 about 6,500 people came to POTS, which is still a huge number, but sort of five years later, we've more than doubled. And that trend sort of continues, and it's always a struggle to make sure we maintain our funding, maintain our volunteer support, maintain our networks of other nonprofits that we can rely on, but that number continues to increase.
And how about holidays? I know a lot of people want to be with their families on holidays. Are you open on holidays?
We are. We're open 365 days a year. There may be like 2 that we close in the middle of summer to make sure we clean the place up, and we want to give people on staff a break, but we are open Christmas Day, we were open Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, 4th of July. You know, unfortunately, if you're hungry, that doesn't take a holiday. Right. And those are sometimes the days that people are forgotten, so we make sure that we're open those days.
Now, you know, on television and in movies and things like that, you usually see, you know, they give the impression that homeless people are people who are jobless and living on the streets. Do you find that, or is it more, you know, people who have full-time jobs are also coming in?
It's everything. I mean, I can go through, and every individual is in the point of coming to POTS for a completely different reason, but by the same token, anybody can end up in that point where everyone in your life may hit this rough patch. And some people may have a better support network than others. Some people may be the wrong place, wrong time. But in the terms of the individuals we see people who are down on their luck, street homeless, unfortunately, people with mental illness, people with addiction. We also see people who are just getting by because they're only on part-time work, people who are working so many hours, and when you add up minimum wage and multiply that, you know, full-time, that doesn't pay for rent in the Bronx. It doesn't pay for child care. It doesn't pay for electricity. It doesn't pay for food. I mean, you can do the math, and unfortunately, it just doesn't add up oftentimes. So we will see a lot of people who are, whether they're working part-time, working full-time, people are doubled up. I mean, there's a lot. Everyone has a different story, unfortunately.
Right. Now, how do you get funding for this? Because obviously, it's an expense. You have workers, you have people who, you know, coming in. You said in numbers, in hundreds coming in per day.
Well, we get it just from the sheer generosity of donors. We are not really heavily government funded like a lot of organizations. It's less than 20% of our total budget comes from the government. So we really rely on individuals and corporations to try to keep our doors open and provide for individuals in the community.
Right. Now, like you said, you run heavily on volunteers. How do you get volunteers? Is it just people coming in?
So it's a little bit of everything. I mean, over 30 years, we've developed a really good base of people that know about POTS. We have a lot of volunteers who are in the community. We have people who just walk in and say, I heard about it, I saw it on the news, or I read about it in the newspaper, let me volunteer. But we also have a lot of individuals who receive services to volunteer. And I think that's important to recognize, is that it's not just someone coming to POTS and says, give me something, I need something. It's also the individuals coming to POTS seeking services also have a lot to offer. And they offer that whether through its volunteerism, they offer that through their own perspective on life. I mean, it's a interesting dynamic in that so many different people can offer their skills, whether that's someone who's also eating in the dining room, whether that's a donor or a high school kid, or someone just looking to get community service hours, or someone, we have often people who come here for spring break, coming from all over the country, and that's great to see. And you want to see all these different people from all these different backgrounds who just want to help out. And we end up having about 3,500 volunteers a year, so we're lucky to have that type of support.
So do they need to be trained in any way to, because you obviously have so many services going on, do these people need to be trained? Because I know you're so stressed the fact that everyone needs to be treated with dignity and respect. Do people need to be trained before that?
Well, I think we want people to have an open mind, people to really believe in what we're doing. Like you said, to make sure that they're looking at this where we really value at POTS the chance to interact with someone one-on-one, face-to-face, eye-to-eye. Oftentimes, you may be in the subway and there may be someone who's unfortunately sleeping on the streets. And oftentimes people just don't recognize them, ignore them. And it's important for POTS to sort of value that person, look them in the eyes, say thank you. And I think we just try to instill that with volunteers so that they appreciate that. We do some basic training, but really our staff is great at getting people up to speed. So long as someone has the right attitude, trust me, they'll do fine. Oh, good, okay.
So now, do you have any success stories that you've seen over the years where people come back to you and you see people coming back and, you know, where they once were volunteering or coming back and...
We absolutely do. I mean, I think what's interesting about that question is I think there are a wide range of success stories. There are individuals who, on the surface, you may say that's not a success. You know, they're still coming to POTS 20 years later. And to me, those might be success stories. For instance, we have individuals who are mentally ill, who are living on the street, and to know that we help them find some form of housing, and they're still coming to POTS because they don't have much money, they're on government benefits, but they're still coming here, they're coming to the soup kitchen. Now most people might say, that's not a success, I mean, they're still coming to the soup kitchen. But we look at it as 20 years later, there's someone who cares about that person, who knows that person's name. This person has a routine, and they're able to be a human being. That's a success story. But another success story I have, which is more in line, I think, with really that increased stability and self-sufficiency, was there an individual who came to POTS recently, and sort of we were able to help him get clothing to go start his full-time job working in a restaurant. And you know, he was so thankful because we went out of our way. We didn't have it in the clothing room, and we were able to find it and work a couple connections to get some sort of like chef's clothing. And what happened was he was able to start work. Got a text from him like a month or two later saying things are going great. And what was great after that was he had sent me another text saying, I'd love to come down and help out on Thanksgiving. So it was one of those things where, again, it's someone is at a point of their life where things are tough times, but realizing that you're going to be on both ends of that equation in life. There's going to be a time where you need some help from somebody, and there's also a time in your life where you're going to want to give back. That's what you like to see, people coming and giving back. Now, if someone wants to donate or volunteer, where can they contact you? Absolutely. The first thing I would say is just go to the website. It's POTS, P-O-T-S, potsbronx.org. So on that website, you can either donate, you have the contact information to try to contact anyone if you need services. We have some of our service hours up online. We always recommend, if you do want services, to come in person because we're awfully busy. Sometimes it's hard to get the phone. And if you're in person, it's much easier. In terms of volunteering, you can see online how to volunteer. Or alternatively, you can email POTS at serve@potsbronx.org. Oh, great. Thank you for coming, Chris. Well, thank you for having me. We'll see you next time on another edition of the Bronx Journal.